Hello, Flello, Namaste, and Satnam. Welcome to Temple Service today. Uh, Welcome, beautiful souls, to Lotus Flower Wellness Temple, a space of mindfulness, presence, healing, and conscious living. Whether you are here in the temple or joining us online, you are loved, welcome, and accepted exactly as you are. Today, we begin a new series called Conscious Thought Rewiring. This series builds directly on everything we've been practicing together: awareness of the body, emotions, relationships, and mindful daily rituals. And now brings mindfulness directly into the mind. This work is about understanding how thoughts shape our experiences and how awareness gives us choice. So, if you will, go ahead and join me in the opening chant. Place your hands on your heart and your belly and allow the vibration to anchor awareness in the present moment. Let the mind soften and the body relax. So, so, all right. So today we are learning about awareness of thought patterns. Most thoughts are not chosen, they are repeated. The mind runs patterns shaped by conditioning, memory, experience, and survival. Many of the thoughts we think every day were learned long before we had the awareness to question them. Mindfulness teaches us something essential. Thoughts are events, not facts. When we are unaware of our thoughts, they quietly shape how we feel, how we react, how we speak, and how we make decisions. But when awareness enters, something shifts. Awareness creates space. Space creates choice. Instead of being pulled automatically into a thought, we begin to notice this is a pattern. Today is not about changing thoughts. It is about seeing them clearly. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness noticing them. That awareness is the beginning of freedom. And I'll go ahead and get us started with our breath work for today, which is all about clearing thoughts. So I would like us to inhale slowly through the nose. Exhale gently through the mouth. As we inhale, I notice As we exhale, I release. If thoughts arise, allow them to pass like clouds and return to the breath. Inhale, I notice. Exhale, I release. Just take this time to notice the thoughts that come, whatever comes to mind, and let it pass. Let it move by. Do not judge it. Just accept it for what it is. Go ahead and begin meditation. You can close your eyes or soften your gaze. Notice thoughts as they arise. Do not follow them. Do not push them away. Gently label thinking and return to breath. Each return strengthens presence. Be here with your thoughts. I'm going to go ahead and go around and do some sound healing. Allow the sound and vibration to calm the nervous system and support mental clarity. All right. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and return to us. We're going to go ahead and do our intuitive group game. Uh, Miguel, if you'll join me. All right. Now, today's group game is called Naming the Pattern. Uh, so, essentially, it's all about just thinking about these thoughts that you have on a regular basis, these patterns that we have, and naming them, naming what it is that you find yourself thinking on a regular basis, or acting or reacting on. So we'll start off by naming one thought pattern we notice repeating in our lives. So for me, I find that one thought pattern I find repeating in my life is thinking about things I could have done differently or things I could have done better. Miguel?
For me, I would say anger and frustration when I don't understand something, or I don't, or things don't go the way that I expected to.
All right. Next, we'll go ahead and say, when this thought appears, I notice it affects my body by, and say how it affects us. So, for me, when this thought pattern appears, I notice it affects my body in that I feel a bit trapped in this kind of thought pattern. I tend to feel like, it has more control over my thoughts than like I'm able to really easily shift. I often find myself circling back to the same ideas or similar patterns. For you?
Well, just on a physical basis, I usually get just very restless. It tends to drive my blood pressure up. Um, and just kind of just sometimes just general pain in my body that I know that I can prevent if I just stop having the negative thoughts.
All right. And one supportive thought I choose instead is, for me, I choose to return to the moment as best I can. I try to focus on what is in front of me and remember that the events of my past are not today, and they don't have to shape every aspect of my life. For you?
Um, well, it's always reassuring to me, and I'm able to bounce back when I remind myself that I'm being tested, and that things just aren't always gonna make sense, and things aren't always gonna go my way, and I just have to trust the process, that things are for my greater good.
All right. With that, I'll go ahead and do our Reiki healing of the mind today. Today's Reiki healing of the mind is the answer is internal. unfortunately, many people don't have much awareness of their spiritual selves. So they spend a lot of time trying to fill an inexplicable void within themselves by seeking power, money, and material success. But the answer doesn't lie outside ourselves, it is internal, not external, and it is the essence within us all. The wise, loving, powerful, and creative inner core of our being that some call the higher or inner self. All right. So, for those of you who are just joining us for temple service, namaste to you. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. We're going to be starting up our After Temple podcast where we talk about the service in just a little bit. So if you want to stick with us for that, feel free. We do appreciate subscription, a like, all that kind of stuff. Um, but we're going to go ahead and get set up and get that started. So feel free to stick around for that. Careful with that one, it's loose. Let's see. All right. Oh, there it is. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with the discussion. My name is Quinn,
Miguel.
and today we are talking about noticing our thought patterns. So, to start with, what thought pattern became most visible for you today?
Honestly, I never really put much thought because it's just kind of another day to me. So, if anything, I would say maybe boredom.
Yeah, I noticed that, like, I feel like boredom in its own way can kind of be a bit of a thought pattern. The idea that, like, there's not much that we can do, or that there's not something we can really, not some way we can find to engage our mind. Um, when we're sitting quietly, sometimes it can feel like, oh, well, there's nothing to do right now, or there's nothing to be done about it. I feel like for me, a thought pattern that became most visible today, uh, I think probably just like sort of the same stuff. Yeah, for me, like I definitely felt like not really doing much. Felt like more like resting, and I don't feel like there's anything really wrong with resting. But maybe I could have done more with today. Um, where do you usually notice this thought showing up in your life?
Well, for me, a lot of times when it's just another day, and sometimes it's hard to get out of that rut because um, just the daily and weekly grind of my typical schedule. It's just like, okay, gotta do this and I gotta do that. So I mean, it's always good whenever something out of the mundane occurs, but otherwise it's just sort of like going on clockwork a lot lately.
Right. Yeah, for me, it typically shows up just when I have a lot of free time. I don't always think of something that I can do with it, or some way that like I can, do something out of the norm, do something different with the day. Uh, it's easy to fall into patterns of activity and just sort of sit around or, you know, do what I normally do with my day. How does this thought affect your body or nervous system?
Um, well,
Well,
body.
welcome in.
Hello.
Doing good, and you?
Yes, good, good. I was just in the area and trying to connect with someone that sells art and to see if they might could partner with me or advise me on selling some art that I created.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, give us just a moment. We're finishing up with a podcast here, but we'll talk with you in just a bit.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So for me, I feel like kind of more sluggish. Like I feel less energetic. I feel sort of. I feel like the word for it is something along the lines of malaise. It's kind of a dullness. It's a numbness of sorts. What changed when you noticed the thought without engaging it?
Hmm. Well, I mean, if I don't do anything about it, that's all it's gonna be. It's just agonizing boredom. But I try to keep myself busy, mentally or physically.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just like this sense of just pointlessness. Because I feel like life was meant to enjoy. So,
Hello, welcome in.
Hi, how are you?
so if I'm doing absolutely nothing, then it's like, well, how can I enjoy life when I'm not doing anything with it, but just sitting around doing nothing?
Right. And for me, I'd say what changes when I notice it is that I realize that it doesn't have to remain that way. I recognize that there are other potential options. I don't have to remain in that state. Sometimes I'm not the most creative in finding what those might be, but that is something for me to work on as well. Even just noticing things in our thought patterns, it's not something we always have to immediately act upon, but the first step in changing something is to notice it and to recognize whether or not it aligns with us. So, what supportive thought felt most grounding or helpful?
I mean, me personally, just keeping busy. So I don't know if that's a specific thought exactly, but keeping my mind active really helped me. in that situation. So even if say my days just another day, I'll try to find something to do interesting, whether it's just like doing some puzzles or watching a movie or something, just to kind of cut the boredom. Or obviously, if something needs to be done in the house, just cleaning up, doing some chores. So definitely, there's always something to be something,
Right.
even when it doesn't feel like it. There's always something.
Yeah. For me, a supportive thought that feels grounding and helpful is just, the idea that I can do anything. Like it's like something I said last week. I want to say, the understanding that I have free will. You know, and like I've seen a lot of videos or TikToks and stuff like that about that. When you realize you have free will, and like it shows somebody doing something crazy, like maybe they put a chair on a table and it makes no sense, but they did it anyways. And like it kind of opens me up a little bit to like I have free will. I could go out for a walk if I wanted. I could go look for an event that's going on around town. Um, I don't have to sit here. And it just sort of brings awareness to that. What felt challenging about simply observing your thoughts?
Well, I tend to have the opposite issue. I have a challenge not observing my thoughts because I think all the time. And I overthink. For me, a lot of times I have to try to force myself not to think, or to just think about something random. Like if I find myself going down into the rabbit hole of boredom, which boredom tends to lead me into negative, self-destructive thoughts. So that's never good.
Yeah, I definitely. I watched a video recently about daydreaming, and daydreaming can be healthy for us when we haven't had enough sleep, when we, just kind of spacing out. It gives us a little bit of that kind of energy that we would have gotten from sleep. It kind of helps us a little bit. But like when people daydream, or like when people just kind of zone out, and like they try to zone out or whatever, they tend to think more about negative things. I find that overthinking, rather than like being super observant of your thoughts, you're observant of like specific thoughts. There's certain things that tend to pull us into that kind of whirlpool of thinking, rather than like any other part of our mind we could access. We could think about any number of our memories. We could think about anything going on in our lives. We could think about any number of imaginary scenarios, or imaginary ideas, or creating something. But there's certain ones that tend to just grab hold of us. And I've heard that the mind, when you think in certain patterns, it becomes addicted to the chemicals related to those patterns. So like it becomes easy to fall into that kind of rhythm, and you think you overthink a lot, you need to stop thinking, or you stop observing your thoughts. But I feel like observing thoughts is more about recognizing the patterns when they come. For me, I have like even this one part of my thoughts that I feel like, oh, this is the black box, right? This is the black box I always return to whenever I'm feeling negative or whenever I start to worry about something. I end up circling that same black box of thoughts, and I try to not give it too much attention, because I know that if I think about things related to that, I can think about them for the next hour easily. Like I can spend the next hour agonizing over things, or like thinking up like possible solutions or ideas related to that. Like I could spend so much time on things related to those thoughts that it's not healthy. It's not, it won't change anything. It won't support me. But yeah, like for me, what's challenging about observing my thoughts, I think it tends to be that I don't always know or notice the pattern happening. Sometimes I'm just unconsciously following a pattern of thought that I always do. It's the same thing as usual. Sometimes it takes an outside perspective to be like, hey, you always do this, and then I can realize, oh shoot, I always do that. That is something that I always go to. But yeah, and in closing, what moment this week could benefit the most from this practice?
Well, honestly,
How y'all doing?
Doing good?
Yes. Plastic bag blew out near the door. I just wanted to show you the art piece that I created.
All right, give me just a second.
Oh, you're still on your
Yeah, we're
podcast.
almost done.
I'll stop back by again.
Okay.
honestly, I don't know how to answer that because our week isn't. It's only just started, so honestly, I don't know.
All right. Well, for me, I definitely feel like there's things in my life that I have been ignoring that I could start to be more active in, or that I could start to pay more attention to. Sometimes when you're used to things being a certain way, you become accustomed to not doing anything about them. And I feel like part of changing that is noticing the thought patterns that keep you stuck in that. You know, noticing what it is that makes you feel like, oh, I can't go out on like a Friday night to a bar or whatever, like I'm not good with people, or like I have trouble approaching strangers or making new friends. Like there's these kinds of restricting thoughts that keep us from doing things we don't normally do, and part of changing them is noticing, that's a restricting thought that doesn't support me and doesn't support my growth. Is there anything else you'd like to speak on, or?
Not particularly.
All right, well, namaste to you all. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and thank you for joining us.